What I
wanted to say was that there was a long gap between the first World Trade Center attack, 1993, and then 2001. And my feeling is that there hasn't been an attack because, and I'm sorry to say, this is an awful thing to say, I don't want it to happen, but I think that the powers that are planning another 9/11 are planning something even bigger, and it takes a long time to do that. And the time scale of people who plan these events isn't like ours, where we're all rushing around and everything has to be done quick.
So you're saying that, in fact, all the Americans' operations against the war on terror hasn't really worked,
I think it has worked. I think that the way they are screening people, this whole business of the Homeland Security and getting into America is extremely difficult now, even for Europeans, let alone people from the Middle East. So all of that, I mean, I've been there, and I've even been asked myself for ID. When I get on a train, on an Amtrak train, even Americans are asked, and they have sniffer dogs. And this, I wouldn't say paranoia, but this fear of another attack, when you're in America, you still feel it after all these years. And in some ways it has worked.
You're saying there's going to be an attack anyway, and an even bigger one?
Yeah, there will be. I mean, when you think of it, the attack on 9/11 was spectacular. It was extraordinary. And the fact that it could happen to a country with one of the most outstanding intelligence operations in the world, next to Israel, is quite extraordinary.
Question from the audience there, man in the black polo neck, yeah.
First, I travel quite a bit, and I would actually ask you, why would you say even Americans? Because, I mean, at this point, you have no idea who could be orchestrating an attack. I actually think that Osama bin Laden's non-capture is an instrument for the Americans, for most of the international police community.
They need him at large in order to have a bogeyman to attack,
in the future,
right?
he's a bogeyman. He's this card that they can hide for justifying any sort of attack on any country at any given time. I don't think that they want to capture him.
Do you not think that... Go on, yeah, come in on that.
I don't think
you see, I think on something like that, it's an interesting argument. But they would be delighted to have won. They would be delighted to show the body, exactly the same way that they've always done. And just realize that, in fact, everybody is aware that Al-Qaeda is no longer Osama bin Laden and just his grouping. There are similar sorts of groups right the way through.
But just like the Taliban, at any given time, you can build up the hatred for any group or any individual. You can empower somebody, give somebody that strength to make your own community scared.
Okay, but I put this point to you again. Is it not justified to hate and be scared of somebody who openly boasts of killing 3,000 people, innocent people?
Yeah, but he's not the first. He won't be the last.
Okay, but don't you think you're saying that they're fear-mongering, they're building up hatred? But surely they don't need to. It's perfectly reasonable to hate and fear somebody like that.
I don't think it's ever right to hate anybody, but I can understand the fear. But it doesn't help your community to be afraid.
Okay, so Chandan, you want to come in here?
No, Andrew, you present the whole question in such a narrow way. You talk about Osama bin Laden killing 3,000 people in New York.
This is the question asked by the audience member. But I mean, you think Osama bin Laden's not really the point, right?
No, the point I'm making. First of all, how many of the hijackers were actually Afghani? None. Most were Saudis. And Egyptians.
But the question is, why has Osama bin Laden not been found?
No. You said, Andrew, that it's justified to go after someone who's murdered 3,000 people. But the whole subject doesn't start, just doesn't start and end, at him planning the attack and then carrying out the attack allegedly. But there's a whole history behind this, and there's much more politics involved in this. And I think it was Atif who quite rightly explained. These were the freedom fighters. These were the Mujahideen fighting against Soviet forces in Afghanistan. It was at Rambo 3, which shows how much the Americans love these guys only yesteryear. And when these guys decided to strategically change their target, i.e. from the Soviets back to the Americans, then it became a problem for America. So let's try to put this in a wider context. The way you pitch it, it just falls into the whole kind of war discourse, basically.
Quick comment from the audience, and then we've got to go to the break. Yeah.
Hi. I just want to know, isn't it true that Osama bin Laden's family has a lot of money in U.S. banks and has relationship with Bush and his father, and that's the only reason that the first thing that when 9/11 happened, the Osama bin Laden's family was privately jetted back to Saudi Arabia.
That is perfectly true, but of course Osama bin Laden's family was not responsible for what he did.
Osama bin Laden's family is not responsible, but they have 24 hours contact with them. And the only reason they don't go and ask them is know that they're scared. And the only reason they went to Afghanistan was that because they could make 10,000 times more than 9,000.
Carol Brew, very briefly, we've got about 30 seconds left.
The fact that Abdul Bari Atwan interviewed Osama.
This is a journalist.
For Al-Quds. And there he was sitting with him and talking to him. Even I think, oh, wait a minute, why didn't somebody go in?
Okay. All right, so
catch him.
The view of our panelists is
very bizarre.
a pretext.
Yeah,
all right, let's take a short break now, but we will be back in a few moments for more of this topical debate. Don't go away.